Well, it's about time we had access to the phone menu. Well, about half of it, but anyway. Well, there's a lot of things here on the phone menu, but at the moment we'll just focus on the pins section. But I'll explain some of these others once we get to them. Now here in the pins menu is where you have all the pins you've collected, and you choose which ones to equip. At the moment, we only have 2 slots. So, yeah, choose whichever 2 of these you want. And you can check their stats just on the top screen there. Of course, most of those don't really make much sense unless you're really, really dedicated to this game, but anyway. Now, yeah, you'll see that the pin menu is divided into 2 sections, Stockpile and Mastered. Mastered is for the pins that are maxed out on level, and Stockpile is for everything else. At the moment, the only pins that will be in Mastered are the ones that already start out Mastered, which is mostly money pins. Yes, you never actually get given money physically in this game, but you do get given yen pins, which can be sold for money. In fact, that's their only use. Now, there's an NPC up here. Seems suspicious. So as whenever there's a random NPC who you can actually talk to, obviously they're going to be significant in some way. Seems Neku's already got the hang of this. Shiki's still learning though. And as you'll learn here, some wall clearing conditions are a bit more complicated than just basically erasing noise. Lift the statue's curse. Interesting. Neku was kind of onto something there though. Now this line is actually quite significant within the context of Japanese, because generally in Japanese it's a rule of politeness to always refer to someone by name, even when you're speaking directly to them. They rarely use the pronoun you, except casually among friends. What comes up here though, yep, every RPG has this. This is the point where you pass the safe zone. And at this point, game over is pretty painful. It resets your progress back to your last save. So, yeah, advisable to save now. And from this point on, save frequently. Right, now that that's done, time to scan, and whoa, that hasn't happened before. I'll explain those red noise later, but, well, it turns out the mission was pretty much just a fancy name for fight more noise. Just looking at a few thoughts here, because some of them are quite entertaining. Wait, he can tell that from a statue? Anyway, just tapping one of those symbols will get you into a fight here. And that's an introduction to how you initiate encounters, but The different colours of noise symbols will become more important a bit later. And as you'll see here, we're fighting a new type of enemy, wolf noise. They're significantly tougher than frog noise, so you'll want to focus on them first.
Easy.
Now the thing about wolf noise is, they're quite fast.
We'll get it next time.
And yeah, you get ranked on battles from this point on, but you don't really need to worry about it so much at this point. It's highly unlikely you'll get good ranks at this point in the game. You're just not strong enough to... In order to get good ranks, you've got to complete battles quickly and without taking very much damage. That's basically the main way to do it. And there is benefits to getting good ranks. But anyway, as I was saying before about the wolves, they're pretty fast, and if you leave them alone for too long, they'll start to get really fast. Thankfully, pyrokinesis is a good counter to their fast movement. Because, you know, speed won't really help when you run into a wall of fire. So that's another wall cleared. And yes, later on you'll find out yellow noise possess things. They're noise that you have to erase in order to complete specific objectives. No, I don't think we've completed the mission yet. We, of course, haven't reached Hachiko yet. Of course, judging by her reaction, yes, not knowing about Hachiko is a pretty big deal if you live in Japan. It's quite famous. Of course, they add in a plot device which lets them allows them to explain it for those of us who don't live in Japan. Now, from that, you see we've obtained an extra pin slot, which is incredibly useful. Which means we can now use 3, and at this point, I prefer to fill this slot with Cure Drink. Because having a healing pin is really helpful. Right, so Cure Drink goes there. And at this point, I'm gonna switch over from Pyrokinesis to Shockwave, just because, personally, I quite like the Shockwave and Force Rounds combination. Good all-round physical attack versus good all-round long-range attack. Quite a good combination. Now here, I'm gonna do some random battles.
You're good as gone.
You can move on to Hachiko at this point if you want, but I will say, unless you do a couple of these random noise encounters, you're gonna run into trouble later on. But basically, the way the encounter system works is, you scan and you see those red noise symbols floating around, you tap one of them to initiate a battle. And yes, basically, that's one of the cool things about this game. You will never get into a random encounter unless you explicitly choose to.
I wasn't feeling it.
With one major exception, but that won't come until much later in the game.
Open up your
So,
senses.
except where it's critical to the story, you only fight when you want to. But, like I said, it's a good idea to do these battles now and then to gain experience and PP. Now, yes, regarding PP, you probably saw me level up in one of the previous battles. But you may be wondering what those numbers are on the ranking screen at the end of battle. That's PP. Basically, there are 2 forms of leveling in this game.
We'll get it next time.
Your regular character experience and your PP, which is basically when your pins themselves gain experience and level up. Now, leveling up only increases your HP. If you want to get more powerful, you need to level up your individual pins. So yeah, that's a major part of the game, really. Now here, one more thing before we leave this area. You might have heard a weird oink noise when I was scanning before. That's a pig noise symbol, those green ones. They're often hidden, and as you'll see here, pig noise won't actually fight you, but they'll attempt to flee the screen.
I got this.
If you manage to take them out before they run away though, they'll always drop a specific pin reward.
Leaving's not an option.
And of course you get quite a few PP out of it too. In that case it was just a 500 yen pin, but later in the game, pig noise drops some very rare pins, so hunt them down whenever you need to. Right. Now I'm gonna keep this battle in here just because,
Watch yourself.
well, here we have 3 frog noise as opposed to the 1 frog, 1 wolf combination we've been seeing before. That's because, actually the different noise symbol you select determines what kinds of enemies you fight. So this one was a smaller one, so we fight mainly smaller noise here.
I can't.
Nice. Got it. Why don't you
Not
back
bad.
up? Talk about feeling.
Right, so that's basically an introduction to noise battles.
I wasn't feeling it.
And you'll see we've got a couple of level ups to our pins there.